Hello and welcome to episode 185 of the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall. I'm the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we'll air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform. Leave a review or a rating. That would mean a lot to me, and of course, help others find the show. Tell a friend about the podcast and help get the word out there that introversion is a beautiful thing. So I've been working hard lately, and there's always something urgent to do. I have deadlines. Some are given by others, and some are self imposed. But I had a great moment last week. With all my hard work, I had the realization that while I have many things to do, always, nothing was urgent. And this is rare for me. I was thinking, I have not urgent, but important things to do. If you're familiar with Dr. Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this terminology is used in the book. Important, but not urgent. He also refers to this as quadrant 2. I read this inspiring book when I was a recent college grad, trying to make my way into the professional world. I also have this book on cassette tape, and it was read by Stephen Covey himself, and I can still hear his voice talking about some of the powerful stories in this book. Stephen Covey passed away in 2012, but his legacy lives on, especially with this 7 Habits book. I hear people use phrases that were either originally coined by him or at least popularized by his work. So, like if you hear terms like proactive or begin with the end in mind, or seek first to understand, then be understood. These terms are likely phrases that are coming from his great work. So, this episode is not going to be all about the 7 habits. I do highly recommend this book, but we're going to talk about habit 3, or we're going to talk about concepts that are related to habit 3. Put first things first, making priorities on those important things. And of course, with the introverted spin. And here's a great quote from the 7 Habits book from Stephen Covey. I am personally persuaded that the essence of the best thinking in the area of time management can be captured in a single phrase: organize and execute around priorities. That phrase represents the evolution of 3 generations of time management theory, and how to best do it is focus on a wide variety of approaches and materials. End quote. And priorities are at the core of the work that I do around time management with the introverted spin, of course. It's so important to make priorities and plans. As introverts, we have so many great ideas and dreams, but we have to put some action behind our dreams so that we're not just dreamers. I've learned that managing our time effectively is not just about being busy or checking off tasks. It's about aligning our actions with our strengths and our values to achieve what's truly important to us. Now, if you're like me, you've probably felt overwhelmed at times by the sheer amount of things you need to do. Maybe you've tried various time management techniques, but found that they didn't quite fit your introverted nature. That's why I wrote my book, Minding Your Time, Time Management, Productivity, and Success, especially for introverts. I found that while I was a busy introvert, the books I was reading weren't calling out the strengths and needs that we have as introverts. And we're going to get into that. So let's review some key insights from the book and my own experiences to help you harness your introverted strengths for better time management. So let's start with this fundamental truth. As introverts, we have unique needs when it comes to managing our time and energy. These needs are often overlooked in a traditional time management advice, which can leave us feeling drained and unproductive. So what are these needs? I've identified these. We need time to clear our minds. We spend a lot of time in our minds, and we need time for clarity. We need quiet, focused time for certain tasks and projects. We need some quiet just to get work done. We need time to prepare, to plan, reflect, and think. And preparation is a key part of being successful as an introvert. We are great thinkers, but we need to give ourselves time to do that. And then, of course, as introverts, we need time to recharge each day to be effective. So these needs form the foundation of effective time management for introverts. As we honor these needs, we can tap into our natural strengths and achieve greater productivity and success. So let's talk about setting priorities. This is crucial because, as I often say, there's usually more to do than we can humanly possibly do. Is that true for you? I used to think, if I was only more organized. And, definitely you need to be organized and you get a lot more done as organized. But I've come to realize that getting organized by itself isn't enough. We need to be strategic about how we use our time and energy. So, how do we set priorities as introverts? Here's some strategies I've found helpful. So, set aside some regular reflection time. As introverts, we have a great gift for reflection, but we need to give ourselves the time and space for some deep thought. Try and find a quiet place where you can give your most important priorities some serious thought. This could be early in the morning. That's me, before everyone else gets up, when the house is still quiet. Or maybe you're more of a night owl and you stay up late when the house is quiet. And for me, I like a quiet Sunday morning. That's my best time. And often we think of this reflection time, people do it at the beginning of the year. It's good. You should do that. But you should also do it much more frequently, every month, every quarter. Figure out how often you need to assess how things are going. But during this reflection time, ask yourself, what are the major things I want to accomplish? What are my short-term and long-term goals? What are my big lifetime goals I want to achieve? What does an ideal day look like for me? And as you're thinking about these questions, identify what's truly important to you. And take some time to identify what's important in your life and where you should focus. And this includes identifying your roles and responsibilities, the things that must be done, identifying your goals and aspirations, things you have a great desire to do. Identify where your focus needs to be and recognizing that sometimes your life's not going to be in balance to succeed. Sometimes you are going to need to spend more time on a certain thing and less time, and sometimes those roles can be reversed. And it's not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters most to you. As an introvert, I've really found it effective to look at my week. So prepare for your week. Preparation is key to our success as an introvert. I recommend spending time for a weekly review, giving yourself time to organize things that need to get done and the meetings that you'll have, the activities that you'll do, the preparation you need to do. So I look at my calendar at the end of the week and then again as I start the week. You can ask yourself questions like, do I have an agenda for the upcoming meetings? Is there any information I need to look at ahead of time? What questions do I have now? What points do I want to make in this meeting? And then we're going to talk about a couple other things that you can look at as part of your weekly review. And as an introvert, your strength is thinking deeply and thoroughly and not usually on the spot. So preparation for meetings, presentations, public speeches is key to our success. And as you're looking at your week, I found it really helpful to use time chunking. You look at dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks. It works wonders for both productivity and focus. Too often we're trying to do more than one thing at a time, multitask. It doesn't work. There's too much starting and stopping. And then when you start and stop, it's like, oh, where did I leave off? And so as much as you can, if you set aside certain chunks of time for certain projects, you can eliminate some of that multitasking. And of course, as part of this review, you're going to look at your energy. What's going to drain you this week? It could even be something you enjoy. Maybe you're giving a presentation that you're going to love, but it's still you're going to need some time after. So look at your calendar and find those things that are going to drain you and make sure you put some buffers in there, where you can spend some time alone after the draining thing or do something that's recharging. Might still be work, but working alone could be definitely recharging after the thing that's leaving you drained. Understanding what drains you is so important. For example, rapid conversations or too much small talk can be very draining, and deep conversations about topics that we're interested in can actually charge us up. So pay attention to your energy levels throughout the day. When do you feel most focused and most productive? Schedule your most important tasks during these peak energy times. Maybe when your energy is draining, there's other tasks that need to be done, but they don't require the same amount of energy. And so pay attention to that for you. And again, build in recharge time wherever you need it as you're looking at your week, as much as you can. And then as part of that time chunking, you really are creating quiet, focused time. Sometimes we're going to do our best work with quiet time to focus and get work done. And it can be hard to find a quiet space sometimes. Find strategies that work for you, maybe using noise canceling headphones. Sometimes I tell my wife, I'm going to be canceling you, so don't try to talk to me. You might have to come tap me on the shoulder when I'm working at home. Set boundaries with colleagues and family members about interruptions. Don't be afraid to communicate your needs. Let them know when you need uninterrupted time to focus on important tasks. And it's not about being antisocial. It's just about creating the conditions you need to do your best work. And of course, it's easy to feel overwhelmed when we have a lot on our plates. But remember, overwhelm is caused by our thoughts rather than the actual tasks at hand. And we can change the stories that we tell ourselves. Here's some strategies to avoid overwhelm. As you're noticing that you're having thoughts that are overwhelming, pay attention to those thoughts. You can even write them down on a piece of paper and then write down some alternatives. Or you can do this all in your head too. Think about, okay, here's the thought I'm having. Here's the reality, or here's something I can do differently. Another thing that I do that really helps with overwhelm is make an appointment with yourself every day to have some quiet time, to reflect, to work, and to prioritize your day. And as you're working through your days, remember, even if you don't accomplish everything, at least you're taking care of the most important items. You're keeping them at the forefront of what you're doing. And of course, here's a misconception I want to address. Some people might think that all this focus and quiet time and preparation means introverts are less productive. And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, our ability to think deeply, focus intently, plan strategically, and think creatively can make us extremely productive. Yes, sometimes it might take a little longer to process information or make decisions, but when we do, our solutions are often more thorough and well thought out. So don't get pressured to make a snap decision or come up with some instant solution when you need more time. Sometimes you're going to make quick decisions, and that's awesome. But sometimes some of the best ideas, solutions are going to come with time for you as a creatively thinking, deep thinking introvert. Trust in your process and give yourself time you need to think things through. Another important point to remember is that success looks different for everyone. As an introvert, your path to success might look different from an extrovert's path, and that's okay. The key is to design a life and a time management system that works for you, that aligns with your strengths and values. This might mean scheduling fewer meetings and more deep work time. It might mean taking on fewer projects, but diving deeper into each one. It might mean saying no to some of the opportunities so you can say yes to the ones that really matter to you. Now, I know some of you thinking that sounds great, David, but how am I going to actually implement strategies into my daily life? Well, here's some practical steps to take. Just start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire schedule at once. Pick one or two strategies to start with and gradually incorporate more as you get comfortable and as you're able. And use the tools that work for you, whether it's a paper planner, a digital calendar, a task management app, or sometimes even all of the above. Find tools that align with your working style and that you always have at your ready. Communicate your needs. Again, let your colleagues, family, and friends know about your need for quiet and deep focus sometimes. Again, sometimes you also want to spend time with them too, and let them know that. Most people will be understanding if you explain it to them. Be flexible. Life is unpredictable, and no time management system is perfect. Be willing to adjust your approach as needed. The other thing is, as you make plans, better opportunities are going to, that you've never even thought of, are going to come your way. And be flexible to embrace those opportunities that you didn't see coming. And celebrate your success. When you accomplish a goal or have a particular productive day, take a moment and acknowledge it. This positive reinforcement can help motivate you to stick to your new habits. Remember, the goal here isn't to become a productivity machine. It's to create a life where you're spending time and energy on the things that truly matter to you. As introverts, we have so much to offer the world: our deep thinking, our creativity, our ability to see connections that others might miss. By managing our time effectively, we can assure these gifts are used to the fullest potential. And I want to leave you with a final thought. Time management isn't just about getting more done. It's about living a life that's true to who you are. As an introvert, that means honoring your needs for quiet, for reflection, for deep work. It means recognizing that your way of working might be different from others. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's your superpower. So I encourage you to embrace your introverted nature as you approach time management. Use these strategies we've discussed to create a schedule that energizes you rather than drains you. Focus on your priorities. Give yourself give yourself time to think and recharge. And don't be afraid to set boundaries. Remember, you have unique gifts to offer the world. By managing your time effectively, you're not just improving your productivity, you're creating the space you need to share those gifts with the world. If you want to take a deeper dive into this topic, check out my book, Minding Your Time, available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle formats. And don't forget to explore the other episodes of this podcast for more insights on living your best introverted life. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. Remember, if you're interested in getting to know yourself better, there's now a free Type Finder personality assessment on the Quiet and Strong website. This free assessment will give you a brief report, including the 4-letter Myers-Briggs code. I will add a link to the show notes. And I'd love to connect with you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or check out the quietandstrong.com website, which includes blog posts, links to social media for Quiet and Strong, and many other resources. Send me topics or guests you would like to see on the show. There's so many great things about being an introvert, and we need those things to be understood. Get to know your introverted strengths and needs and be strong.